The history of the Dominican Republic is a very interesting one. So here's the timeline of the Dominican Republic from the beginning up until today. Let's do it. We are going all the way back to 1492, which was when Christopher Columbus reached the island of Hispaniola, which is the island that the Dominican Republic is located on. He landed near what is now Santo Domingo and became the first European to set foot in the territory. But he didn't stay long. 1 year later, in 1493, an official settlement was made by the Spanish on the island with the construction of the first permanent European settlement in the New World. This settlement was also named Santo Domingo. And because of this, Santo Domingo is considered to be the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the Americas. In 1506, the settlement was officially declared a city. The Spanish quickly began exploring the island, and soon after they began enslaving the local indigenous people, working them to death and getting little output. So they turned to Africa for their labor force, bringing enslaved Africans to work on plantations. The wealth from these plantations caused Santo Domingo to become the wealthiest city in the entire New World at the time. As the Spanish Empire grew, so did the wealth of Santo Domingo. In 1544, it became the capital of the Spanish colony of Santo Domingo. The colonial governor of Santo Domingo was given more power, and it became the seat of the real audiencia, the highest court of the empire. At this time, the island was split between the colony of Santo Domingo, which is where the Dominican Republic is today, and the colony of Cuba. By 1625, however, raids from both the French and the English had become such a problem that the Spanish crown decided to unite the two colonies, making the capital of the new combined colony Santo Domingo. While this was good news for the capital, other parts of the colony suffered greatly under the rule of the Spaniards. They kept taxes high and refused to allow the colonists to trade with other countries. All of this caused many of the colonists to turn to piracy. One example of this was the famous pirate Bartholomew Roberts, who was born in Santo Domingo. During this time period, the French had also established a colony on the northern coast of the island. By 1697, the Treaty of Ryswick ceded this area of the island to France. This area would later become the nation of Haiti. While the colony of Santo Domingo was doing well due to its control of gold and sugar production, the rest of the island was not. With terrible roads, high taxes, and oppressive rule, the colony fell into disrepair. In 1801, the French invaded the island and deposed the Spanish governor. Then 4 years later, the colony officially joined the First Haitian Republic. After fighting a war for independence from the Dutch, the colony was returned to Spain in 1822. It was then renamed Santo Domingo. In 1844, there was a revolution against the rule of Haiti, and the Dominican Republic was born. The country was initially a monarchy with Buenaventura Baez as its first head of state. However, just a year later, in 1845, a new constitution was written and the country became a republic. During this time period, the country experienced a great deal of instability with multiple coups and counter-coups taking place. The United States, seeing this instability, sent in their Marines to occupy the country. They stayed for 8 years, leaving in 1907. For the next 20 years, the country was relatively stable until 1924, when the U.S. sent their Marines back in to put down a rebellion. Rafael Leonidas Trujillo took advantage of the U.S.'s return and ousted the president, setting himself up to become the dictator of the Dominican Republic. Trujillo ruled the country like a god over the next 30 years. He built extravagant monuments and buildings to himself, changed the country's name to the Dominican Republic, got rid of all political parties except his own, and ruled with an iron fist. During his regime, he had thousands of people killed. These killings included 4 of his vice presidents. And Trujillo even went as far as kidnapping and murdering the daughter of the Cuban dictator Batista. On May 30, 1961, Trujillo was assassinated. It wasn't long after this that the United States withdrew their support for the new government. This caused a financial crisis, which led to the rise of a new political party, the Movimiento 15 de Octubre, or the October Movement. In 1963, The military junta that had been ruling the country since Trujillo's assassination handed power over to a new civilian government. Just 2 years later, though, in 1965, the country was plunged into civil war. This conflict would go on to be known as the Dominican Republic crisis. The opposing sides of the war were the constitucionalistas, who wanted a return to democratic rule, and the Folucos, who supported the military. For the United Nations, this situation became an issue, as many of its citizens were caught in the middle. They asked the Organization of American States, the OAS, to send in a peacekeeping mission. The OAS agreed, but then backed out at the last minute. This forced the UN to take matters into its own hands. On July 1965, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 248, authorizing the deployment of a UN force to the Dominican Republic to keep the peace. Canada was asked to lead the mission, and troops were deployed from many other nations as well, including Australia, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Denmark, Ethiopia, India, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, New Zealand, Nigeria, Philippines, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States. This UN force would come to include over 6,000 troops. The UN mission was successful in restoring order and democracy to the Dominican Republic. In 1966, the UN force began to depart. The last of the UN peacekeepers left in March of 1967. The only country to have a negative experience during this peacekeeping mission was the United States. 6 U.S. soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb. 2 U.S. Marines were also killed during a riot. These deaths led to the U.S. withdrawing from the OAS in 1968. In 1966, Joaquin Balaguer won the presidential election and was inaugurated in 1967. He served as both the dictator and president of the country until 1978. Over the next 21 years, he ruled the country into the ground, causing widespread poverty and discontent. In 1978, a new dictator came to power in the Dominican Republic, Rafael Leonidas Trino. Despite being hated by the population, he maintained a close relationship with the United States. He made this alliance even stronger in 1986, when he allowed the United States to build a military base on Dominican soil. In 1996, Joaquin Balaguer ran for president again, but lost to the candidate of the Partido de la Liberación Dominicana, PRD, a center-left political party, and took office on August 16, 1996. In 2000, Hipólito Mejía, Balaguer's hand-picked successor, was elected president. However, in 2004, he was removed from office due to allegations of corruption. Danilo Medina, a member of the PLD, was then elected and took office on August 16, 2004. In 2010, a devastating earthquake struck the country, killing hundreds of thousands and injuring many more. The country was in ruins and the economy was shattered. In 2012, Danilo Medina won the presidential election and took office. His second term started off well, but soon took a turn for the worse. With rising inflation and a failing economy, protests erupted across the country. The public grew tired of his leadership, and he was forced to resign. Luis Abinader of the opposition party, the PRSD, won the landslide election. He took office on August 16, 2020. And that's the timeline of the Dominican Republic from the beginning up until today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a big thumbs up. Also, if you want to watch more videos about the history of different countries, then click right over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. We hope you enjoyed learning about Dominican Republic. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Until next time.